welcome to Young Kizzy, the one YouTube channel. If this is your first time on my YouTube channel, please subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking on the red subscribe button down below and turn on the bell icon. Tell me what you think about this video in the comment section.
To primary healthcare facilities, ensuring that every and early detection is accessible to more Zambians. Madam Speaker, training and mentorship programs for health workers are being provided routinely so that our frontline staff are equipped with the skills and knowledge required to deliver quality cancer care. In addition, palliative care services are also being enhanced to ensure that patients and families receive compassionate support throughout the cancer journey. Madam Speaker, these efforts demonstrate government's awareness of the burden of cancer and its commitment to building a stronger, more equitable health system that protects our citizens from the devastating impact of this disease. Madam Speaker, I wish to report that the structure for the Cancer Disease Hospital has been revised and approved to reflect the full range of services that must be provided. To that effect, government, through the Ministry of Health and the Management Development Division, has approved a staffing structure of 772 raised to 884. These positions include approximately 40 additional specialists dedicated to cancer care. Madam Speaker, recruitment of specialized personnel is being prioritized and measures are being put in place to motivate and retain these highly skilled professionals. In addition, government is scaling up specialized training programs for cancer personnel. Continuous mentorship and professional development opportunities are being provided to ensure that our doctors, nurses, radiographers, pharmacists, and palliative care teams are equipped with the latest knowledge and skills. Madam Speaker, by investing in human capital, government is laying the foundation for a resilient cancer care system that can deliver in terms of prevention, diagnosis, treatment, and palliative services with excellency and compassion. Madam Speaker, I am pleased to report that the construction of the Cancer Disease Hospital in Lusaka is progressing steadily and is currently at 82% completion. The installation of the first ever linear accelerator is at 50%, with the remaining equipment, including 3 linear accelerators, 2 brachytherapy units, and 1 CT simulator for radiotherapy treatment planning, expected to be delivered in May. The grey works have been completed and the project has now advanced to electrical installations, fixtures and fittings. Once operational, this facility will significantly expand our national capacity to provide advanced cancer treatment, reduce the need for patients to seek care abroad, and improve survival outcomes for our citizens. Madam Speaker, I am also pleased to inform you that the National Health Policy and its implementation plan has been finalized and will soon be launched. Madam Speaker, as I conclude, may I affirm that cancer is not just a medical issue, it is a national development concern that requires collective action, compassion, and sustainable investment. I reiterate my gratitude and appreciation to your committee, including the witnesses that contributed to this important report. I wish to state once again that I have taken note of the observations and recommendations and a comprehensive action taken report will be prepared for this August House. Having said that, Madam Speaker, I support the adoption of this report by the House. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. The Honourable Member for Mbabala wind up debate.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. On behalf of the Committee on Health, Community Development and Social Services, I wish to thank the honourable members of Parliament that have supported and debated on this report, starting with my Vice Chair, Honourable Nakaponda, for every supporting this report. Honourable Fube works, who focused on the prevention and indeed the cancers and the mortality. Honourable Kapamba Mulenga on the localization of treatment and financing. Honourable Sande Chanda, the issue of lifestyle, as well as commending the committee again for the tobacco control bill that contributes to reducing this disease, and indeed the Honourable Minister of Health, Dr. Katakwe, for accepting this report and supporting this report, including sharing very important information on the vaccination of young girls to prevent cervical cancer through the HPV program. Madam Speaker, this demonstrates the push from this committee in line with government also to ensure that we get the best for our citizens. I thank these members and I thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving us this opportunity. The report is therefore fully accepted and we beg to move. I thank you.
Thank you. I put the question. The question is that this House adopts the report of the Committee on Health, Community Development and Social Services on the burden of cancer diseases in Zambia for the 5th session of the 13th National Assembly, laid on the table of the House on Friday, 17th April 2026. As many as are of that opinion say aye. Of the contrary say no. The ayes have it. The question is resolved in the affirmative. Private member's motion, the Honourable Member from Mbabala.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, for again giving the good people of Mbabala an opportunity to move a motion, namely a private member's motion urging government to develop a national methane abatement strategy. Madam Speaker, I beg to move this House to urge the government to adopt a national methane abatement strategy to reduce methane emissions in this country.
Is the motion seconded?
Yes, Madam Speaker.
Seconded by the Honourable Member for Mundazi. The question is that this House urges the government to develop a national methane abatement strategy. Any debate? The Honourable Member from Mbabala.
Madam Speaker, climate change, Madam Speaker, climate change is no longer a distant or abstract phenomenon. It is a lived reality, as can be seen from the impacts of droughts and floods in recent years. Zambia has already begun to experience rising temperatures and increasing variability in rainfall patterns. Projected temperature increases under different climate scenarios indicate continued warming, while rainfall trends point towards greater unpredictability and potential declines. These changes translate into 1, frequent and prolonged droughts, 2, devastating floods, 3, crop failure and reduced agricultural productivity, and 4, loss of biodiversity. At the center of this crisis, Madam Speaker, are greenhouse gases. While carbon dioxide, CO2, receives most global attention, methane, which is CH4 in scientific name, is one of the top 3 greenhouse gases, alongside carbon dioxide and nitrous oxide. Crucially, methane has a warming effect over 80 times stronger than carbon dioxide over 20 years. Reducing methane is one of the fastest and most cost-effective ways to slow global warming in the near term. Globally, Madam Speaker, methane emissions arise primarily from 3 major sectors. 1, from agriculture, particularly livestock, enteric fermentation, and 2, waste, especially solid waste disposal and wastewater treatment, and 3, energy, including fossil fuel extraction and coal mining. Madam Speaker, agriculture remains the largest global source, accounting for approximately 44% of methane emissions. In Zambia, methane emissions are concentrated in livestock production systems, especially from enteric fermentation and poorly managed manure, solid waste disposal sites where decomposing organic waste produces methane, wastewater systems lacking methane capture technologies, and some elements of the energy sector, including charcoal production and biomass use. Our own policy and legal review, Madam Speaker, clearly identify agriculture, waste, and energy as key methane sectors requiring intervention. Madam Speaker, methane's short atmospheric lifetime, approximately 12 years, means that action taken now can deliver rapid climate benefits. Reducing methane emissions can, 1, slow near-term global warming, 2, reduce extreme weather events, and 3, improve air quality by lowering ground-level ozone formation, and 4, protect agricultural productivity, and 5, reduce public health risks. It is important to acknowledge that the government of the Republic of Zambia has made commendable strides in establishing an enabling framework for climate action, including methane-related interventions. Madam Speaker, some of the constitutional and policy foundation issues are: 1, the Constitution of Zambia provides for environmental protection and sustainable development, binding the state to implement mechanisms that address climate change. 2, the National Climate Change Policy establishes a coordinated framework for climate resilience and low-carbon development. It promotes climate-smart agriculture, improved livestock and manure management, sustainable waste management, and methane capture initiatives and renewable energy projects. Madam Speaker, the legislative framework has the enactment of the Green Economy and Climate Change Act of 2024 represents a landmark achievement. This act provides a legal framework for mitigation and adaptation, operationalizes carbon markets, establishes institutional arrangements for climate governance, and aligns Zambia's action with international commitments. Similarly, Madam Speaker, the Environmental Management Act provides for integrated environmental management and regulates waste and emissions, thereby supporting methane mitigation. And number 3, the National Energy Policy supports renewable energy development, energy efficiency, and reduced reliance on high-emission energy sources, indirectly contributing to methane reduction. Madam Speaker, international commitments which Zambia has made include Zambia is a party to the Paris Agreement and has submitted updated nationally determined contributions, which are abbreviated as NDCs, which include mitigation actions in sustainable agriculture, waste management, including methane capture in landfills, and renewable energy and energy efficiency. Zambia is a signatory to the Global Methane Pledge, committing to contribute to collective efforts to reduce global anthropogenic methane emissions by at least 30% by 2030. Madam Speaker, these are significant milestones. However, policy review notes that methane abatement is not yet articulated in a sufficiently explicit and systematic manner to fully reflect the ambition of the global methane pledge which Zambia made. While Zambia has an enabling legal and policy environment, there is currently no standalone national methane abatement strategy. The existing framework identifies methane-related sectors, encourages low-emission development pathways, provides carbon market mechanisms, and establishes reporting systems such as national communications and biannual transparency reports. Madam Speaker, a national methane abatement strategy would, 1, establish sector-specific targets for agriculture, waste, and energy. 2, align the Green Economy and Climate Change Act, the National Climate Change Policy, the Environmental Management Act, the Energy Policy, and Zambia's NDC commitments under one integrated methane roadmap. 3, Madam Speaker, develop methane-specific MRV systems and performance indicators. 4, prioritize methane projects under carbon markets and attract international investment in biogas, landfill gas capture, improved manure systems, and climate-smart livestock management. 5, deliver socio-economic core benefits such as improved waste management systems and increased access to clean energy through biogas, enhance agricultural productivity, reduce public health risks, and ultimately create green jobs. Madam Speaker, methane abatement presents a high-impact, cost-effective opportunity to accelerate climate action while advancing economic resilience. Zambia has laid a strong legal and policy foundation. The Constitution, the National Climate Policy, the Environmental Management Act, and the Energy Policy, the Green Economy and Climate Change Act, and our NDC commitments demonstrate clear political will. Developing a national methane abatement strategy will therefore help reduce the environmental degradation. It is a development agenda.
May I wind up, Honorable Member?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It is a development agenda. It is a food security agenda. It is a public health agenda, and it is an economic resilience agenda. Madam Speaker, I beg to move. I thank you.
Thank you. Does the seconder wish to speak now or later?
Now, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Member for Lundazi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would like to thank you for giving the people of Lundazi this opportunity to second this non-controversial motion, but something that can be able to assist our country move forward and also be able to abate some of the ills that are affecting this nation. Madam Speaker, in seconding this motion, I would want to indicate that some of the behaviors that we have as a country may be those that we have lived with for a very long time, and if we do not make any changes to them, we may end up missing out on ensuring that we are not adding to some of the evils that are happening to this country and the world at large. Madam Speaker, before I understood the issues to do with methane, I didn't know until there was some knowledge that was, shared to us as parliamentarians, and I would want to state categorical that indeed research has assisted people to change their minds, and also it has assisted countries to change their policy direction, and it has also assisted countries to be able to benefit from some of the change in behaviors. Madam Speaker, the issues to do with climate change are genuine and real. For the first time, Madam Speaker, in Lundazi, we have had all our bridges washed away, all our roads became impassable due to climate change. 2 years before, our district was ravaged by issues to do with drought, and there was hunger in this whole nation, and we ended up even buying food at very expensive prices. But what is it that Zambia could have been doing that could have added to this increase of methane? There are issues that we may need to change, especially some of our old practices in the way we are ensuring that our agriculture system is running. One of them, Madam Speaker, is a very sensitive matter, and I know some of us here are cattle headers, And if I talk about how we should manage the manure for cattle, you may be saying, what is it that can be done to that? However, out of the way we are managing our manure, it has a contribution to depleting the layer. And the way we are taking care of our waste, if you go just here in Lusaka, if you go somewhere here in Chunga, you'll find that the way we are just throwing our garbage, even just within our country, sometimes it has to take national service to come and help us to pick papers and also throw rubbish. The other issue that is affecting us in increasing methane, the way we are throwing waste such as diapers. I've seen this even in my constituency, where every week, Madam Speaker, we have to grapple with the issue of waste management. How is it that this waste is being managed? Madam Speaker, before I say a lot of things, we need really to accelerate our nation to transit into sustainable and inclusive development. And this needs to look at fast-tracking climate action. There is need for us to really fast-track how this climate action. When we look at reducing methane, it will ensure that we deliver climate benefits and help slow temperature increases. You may wonder, in the morning you put on a jersey because it feels cold. By 10 hours it will be very hot. By 11, 12 hours it will become again cold. You can't even know what type of dress code that you should put on. But really we need to know how we can fast track and have our climate action. Madam Speaker, food security are issues that cause governments to come up and also to leave. If issues to do with food security are not put in place because we are not controlling our methane production, we are also going to affect the way the rainfall is falling in our country and also in our neighbors. Madam Speaker, there is need for us to improve public health. The issue of methane contributes to the formation of ground-level ozone. And apart from that, there are issues to do with how we are having respiratory issues in our country today. All this can be caused by not controlling the temperatures and also allowing a high level of methane to contaminate our air. Madam Speaker, in addition, the issue of strengthening coordination across sectors. A national strategy, Madam Speaker, if it is abated, can be able to align agriculture, waste, and energy sectors. Sometimes we live in silos and we end up missing out on some of the benefits. In addition, it can also improve interministerial coordination. We may be running one, maybe we may be saying we have one strategy, we believe in sharing information from one and another. But as a nation, we need to ensure that we improve interministerial coordination and set clear roles and responsibilities. Agriculture should have its own. Energy should have its own. Waste management should also be done very well under the Ministry of Local Government. Madam Speaker, it's not only management and also coordination. There is need for us to attract climate finance and investment. Every time we have COP12, COP15, COP20, how are we going to ensure that we benefit from some of the resources which are being given out by the donors? Is by ensuring that we put a strategy in place that can be able to attract us as a nation to benefit from some of the benefits. If we do not put our house in order, we may not be able to benefit from some of these COPs, and the money will always be going to other countries. So we need to put in place this strategy so that we can put it on the table to say what we agree upon, we don't just sign, but we also put them into action. Madam Speaker, if we work very well on this methane control, we can also be able to promote economic opportunities. What economic opportunities are we talking about? Issues to do with creation of green jobs. These green jobs can assist in having some resources in our being passed on to our people. And apart from that, we should ensure that we support waste to energy industries, improve livestock productivity. The reason why our maybe livestock cannot be sold on the international market is because of the way we feed them. If we can have stables where our cattle can be able to feed, we can be able to pass on some of the quality and be able to export even to foreign countries. Madam Speaker, there is need for us to support international commitments. Just like the chair had indicated, we shouldn't just go sign and sit. This is the only way we can also be able to domesticate some of the issues that we sign at international conferences. Madam Speaker, I would want to say that indeed reducing methane is not only an agriculture and health matter, but it also attracts finance, it creates green jobs, and strengthens climate resilience while advancing national development goals. Madam Speaker, with these few remarks, I beg to second.
Thank you. Any further debate? The Honourable Member for Nalolo.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I would like to thank the mover of this motion and the seconder that have ably moved an important motion which this House must take very serious. Madam Speaker, 30% of the world's global warming is caused by methane. Methane is the second largest contributor to climate change. Just to give a background, Madam Speaker, in 2021, November 2021, President Hakainde Hichilema led a delegation to COP26 in Scotland, Glasgow, where the methane pledge was made by Zambia. Zambia committed to this, together with Honorable Minister then for Green Economy, Honorable Nzovu, who I must congratulate for his award, who's been awarded for co-chairing the Africa Group of Negotiators. Madam Speaker, so we made this commitment as Zambia in 2021, and the commitment is to reduce methane emissions by 30%. Now, just to put it in context, Madam Speaker, when the executive attends meetings such as the Conference of Parties, they make commitments, and Parliament can't give oversight because they don't know what commitments the executive makes. For example, the executive has made commitments with regards to ending deforestation by 2030, reducing deforestation. But how do parliamentarians know this? The executive has made commitments to reduce methane emissions. So it is time for a strategy that we can hold the executive to account. For example, when we talk about our waste management in this country is extremely bad. We have seen some improvement in the last few years with the introduction of the Waste Management Company being supported by the European Union, which I must commend the Executive Development Corporation in supporting farmers by arranging them into cooperatives and supporting them with biodigesters. Now, Madam Speaker, Zambia has updated its national determined contributions. They have reported to UNFCCC and have actually recommitted on this methane pledge because the methane emissions in Zambia as of 2024 have increased by 21 million tons. That's an increase of over 80%. So what does this mean, Madam Speaker? While we are having a lot of livestock farmers, they may not be sensitive to the feeding of this livestock, to the vaccination of this livestock, and also to the breed types, the types of breeds that these livestock have. So in other jurisdictions, Madam Speaker, livestock breeding takes into consideration climate change. What do I mean? Breeding livestock with less methane gene-friendly genes. So you have a lot of technical expertise in this area, ensuring that the feeding of our livestock takes into account methane aspects. Also, Madam Speaker, when you look at waste disposals, our local authorities are focusing so much on CDF. They must also focus on their core mandate as a local authority to ensure that there is proper waste management in this country. The reason why we are having a situation of blockages in the drains in Kanyama, blockages in town, is because of lack of proper waste management. So what we must address in terms of methane pledge includes devising a system that strengthens our local authorities to also focus on their core mandate. They must not just shift to CDF, they are collecting revenue. There is need for a proper recycling system in every district. With this regard, Madam Speaker, I would like to also state that there's been tremendous improvement in reporting in terms of national determined contributions, in terms of the collection of data with regards to livestock farmers, but there is need to progress from reporting to actual climate action. And that is why we are urging the executive today to operationalize the Green Economy and Climate Act. Please, we passed it in 2024. It needs a commencement order. I saw last week there was an amendment to the act, yet it has not even yet started being operationalized. So, Madam Speaker, this act talks of a climate fund. We need to raise finances for climate actions because we cannot rely on commitment from developed countries. As a signatory to the Paris Agreement, we need to ensure that the climate fund is operational, and this comes by operationalizing an act which we already passed in this House. So part of my debate, Madam Speaker, is to ask the executive again to operationalize the Green Economy and Climate Act of 2024. We need that commencement order signed so that aspects of carbon trading, the guidelines, must be understood by everybody. Aspects of greenhouse emission must be understood. An aspect of our position as Zambia in terms of domestic resource mobilization for climate finance must be cast in black and white. Madam Speaker, in summarizing, I would like to emphasize that I unreservedly support this motion as a climate champion, that as we can see, we are supposed to be in winter, but it is still hot, Madam Speaker. It shows you that global warming is not a rumor, it is not a theory, it is a fact that methane traps heat 80 times more than carbon dioxide. So if our methane numbers are going up to 21.1 million tons as of 24, it shows that we need to have a strategy to abate this destruction on our climate. Madam Speaker, with these few remarks, I support the motion as moved by Honorable Musanje and seconded by the Honorable Member for Lundazi. I thank you.
Thank you. The last member, the Honorable Member for Chirubi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving the people of Chirubi an opportunity to add the voice on the emission of methane. Madam Speaker, what we are talking about here is a very tricky motion. It is tricky in that the abatement of methane is supposed to affect human activity. Madam Speaker, 60% of how methane is produced is coming from human activity. 40%, 60%, I said. Yeah, by engineer, you can know better. Yeah, so agriculture accounts for 40%. Fossil fuels accounts for 35%. The waste management we talk about accounts for 20%. given that profile, Madam Speaker, what we are talking about is that whereas fossil fuel may not affect Zambia that much, we are caught in arms by agriculture, which is 40%. We are also caught in arms by the West, which is 20%, which gives us in wrong range with 60%, Madam Speaker. And the human activities that we are involved in, indeed, are serious. Why are we talking about this? We are talking about this because it affects the way we live. It affects our agriculture, cycle. We are talking about what our sister and the mover of the motion, whom I thank very much. My brother, me, I'm not like those that oppose motions because they have come from the opposition. I go for things that are substance. And what you have brought is substance. When we look at the topic at hand, Madam Speaker, it is talking about ground level ozone, which affects our agriculture directly. We need, for instance, I'll give an example, Madam Speaker. We will talk about 5 million cattle in Zambia. And this cattle also has waste. We need beef from cattle. We need milk from cattle. But whereas we need those life-giving products, we also need to look at what that cattle produces. Where does it go? How do we manage? Because according to the strata of how these things are lined up, livestock contributes much. And we have livestock in Zambia. I've just picked cattle, chickens produce, goats produce. How do we manage that particular area? What is our Biosafety Act saying in terms of managing animal waste? All those factors are supposed to come in. I know that Honorable Nkandu would say question by engineer. What we are talking about.
The honorable member for...
Yes, what we are talking about, maybe
just
engineer.
stick to the motion.
Yes, I'm speaking to the motion, Madam Speaker, but through the engineer. The engineer should know that I'm conversant about this hydrocarbon called methane, because it is 1 atom of carbon and 4 atoms of hydrogen, convently connected. So I know what I'm talking about, in case you needed to go in that intellectual prowess. Madam Speaker, before I was disturbed by people who are even educated, who are supposed to understand this topic better, we need to also revisit the Zema Act. Zema Act, Madam Speaker, go and do finally at your room. Madam Speaker, we need to revisit the Zema Act. Why we want to revisit the Zema Act is that in Zema Act, there is polluter pays principle. And the polluter pays principle, Madam Speaker, entails that those that are also contributing to polluting the environment should pay. Because what the move of the motion is talking about is a betting strategy, where we need to reduce atmospheric methane. And by the way, Madam Speaker, from the industrial time to now, atmospheric methane has increased by 160%. And we need to make an effort. I think I do appreciate my brother, who researches like me, the Nalolo one, who said, actually, methane is second to carbon dioxide. But it is more dangerous 28 times than carbon dioxide, meaning that it even disturbs the sitting of the composition of the air. I know at school we are told it is 78% hydrogen and 20% oxygen, but that is disturbed by methane. So when we look at that, Madam Speaker, can I be protected? I want to flow.
Member for Chirubi, I'm listening.
And now what I'm talking about is not politics, it's life.
Can you
I know it's used to politics. Madam Speaker, so what we are trying to do is to create a balance. When we want to fight a solution, like they are talking about a betting, you create a dynamic balance between what are called sources, of course, where you talk about emissions on the other side. And on the other side, we also need to create atmospheric removal of methane, what are called sinks. So you do sinks in Zambia. How do we do things in Zambia? And when we are looking at this particular factor, we are supposed to, I know that we have started talking about
Oh my goodness.